Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah Sieg Evagnoni.
bringing you this week's Ascended World. And look at us, we're in the same place.
Same room.
Yay! For a fabulous weekend in Dallas. Glad to be here. So, where are we starting this week?
Actually, I think we talked about taking a deep dive into what it looks like what our beliefs are around being taken care of.
Right, and supported.
Supported, yeah.
Yep.
Whether it's friends and family, whether it's the universe, whether it's self.
Yeah. We were talking about, we got into a conversation about, I set myself to be supported and not me. Well, no, okay. So it was like setting ourselves to be supported and then being disappointed at what we feel stuck with, right?
Right. It's almost like do what I meant, not what I said. It's
Right.
like, and then having judgments over that, self-judgment, judgment of others, and frustrations over, I don't feel supported. It's like, even though this is what I asked for, it's not what I want.
Right. Yeah. And then so we were talking about that and we got into a discussion about that. And then finally we were like, wait, what is your definition of being supported?
Right.
So that we found out was really it could be a limitation. So something to look at.
A limiting factor.
Yes.
Yeah.
A limiting factor because, we can say, oh, well, I set myself to be, supported. I set myself, good morning, Yasmin. So yeah, like we could say I set myself to be supported and I'm not feeling that.
Right. Or I'm feeling like that support is actually limiting me because it's like, say, financial, I want to be financially supported. Okay, well, here's $10.
Right. Right.
$10 doesn't get you very far down the road.
Right. And so as with any words that we use in creation, it all really depends on what we believe is the energy behind those words, right? Which is why eventually the important thing is to get beyond the words.
Right.
But in the meantime, while we're still talking to ourselves in words
and others,
it's really like, okay, so if one believes, so for example, that what we were talking about is if you believe that you have to be supported by somebody else, and you say, well, I trust the universe to support me, and underneath that is, well, actually, I believe the universe will support me through somebody else supporting me.
Right.
Well, then that's how you will manifest that
limit.
Yeah, and it's a limit because then that means the only way you'll be supported is through someone else.
Right.
Which then limits it. And what came to me about that when we were talking about that was it's really like putting a priest between you and God, right?
Right. And that it was like I was listening and then she said that and I was like, because that's so controlling. And one of the things that I, just am appalled by organized religion is, it's like, how dare you think that you being the same as me have a different path to that spirituality. So once she said that, it just was like upside the head. It's like, no, I absolutely not.
Right. And so, then it was funny because, of course, whenever we talk about this stuff, like we always have something very much in common, like many of us, right? There's always a parallel universe, right? Because the more we were talking about that, I was like, oh, and I had the other perspective for so long is that I had to do it all myself. Right. I had to support myself. Right. It was all up to me. And then it was like, no, I wouldn't let somebody else support me. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, well, but the key is to say, if I allow the universe to support me, and I allow I allow myself to support myself, but as the universe, and as the multiverse, as the divine.
And that's such a fine tweak.
Yeah.
Because it's like support through separation versus support through wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
Right, because support through wholeness, right?
That's everything.
Everything. So
Everything,
it can come,
everybody,
it can come to you in all ways, shapes, and forms.
wow, yeah. Yeah, that's such a, that's the limitation of words.
Right. And then there are people that I know who are going, say, like through divorce and stuff like that, who then are like, well, I don't want them to support me anymore and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, but you can allow that while, like, as well as all the other ways. Like we're worthy of all of it. It's not one
either or.
right.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, even if it's temporary or for a period of time. And so this is a key, because I've had this conversation with so many people from different aspects, and that's what we were sort of like noodling on yesterday, like this one piece. And I'm like, I know we've gone through this so many times. So it was like, oh yeah, the definition. And the definition of what we believe is, being supported.
Well, and it just, it's an opportunity to cycle back into being the victim and being not supported, and just woe is me, because that's where we've always been. Yeah. And that's the epitome of separation in my mind.
Right. Well, because it's also a lack. It has to be given to me.
Right. And there's a finite amount.
Right.
And that if I take this, then that means someone else can't have it.
Right.
Which I know for a while I felt that it's like, well, okay, I'll sacrifice myself so that these may have it. And it's like, no, we all can have it. Yes. And that's that separation versus wholeness.
Yep.
Mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're still getting out of that deeply embedded habit.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's at the cellular level even at this point, because it's not just ingrained, it's inbred. It's how we've defined ourselves. So it's that, if you're looking at it and unweaving the cloth, it's like, just go back to where you got the ballsy arm. That's right. And start over.
Or even the sheep.
Right.
or whatever else you're getting the wolf.
The wolf, right? Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and so look at where. For everyone here. So the thing is to look at where it is that you don't feel supported, right? And then look at your definitions about support,
right? And
because I know it was funny when this whole came up, and like I said, I was looking at it going, oh, I always believed, for the longest time, I always believed the other extreme of no. I am the only person that can support myself.
Right.
And even like when I started being I was always self-supported. When I went into, my own business and whatever, and then it became a different balance of income in our household, it was like having to allow that to be okay with myself. But then also, like, over the years, and I remember I went through that whole period of feeling like, oh God, I feel so unsupported in what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, but there's like these definitions of, well, what is that support? What do you mean by that support?
Right.
And yeah, I love that idea of support from wholeness.
Right. I mean, it has a whole different resonance to it. It feels, for me, it's like, that's the going home I've been looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the going home with no sacrifices.
Right. Right.
That feels really good.
Right. Without having a funnel, right, as to how things can get to you.
Well, it's almost like an inverse funnel.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it just opens up
opens everything up. Yeah. Funnels to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's it. We're done for today.
That's right. That was easy. Check that one off the list. Done.
Yeah. Look at me, did it in less than 10 minutes.
See what happens when we're in the same room.
That's right. And I've been that way for most the last 5 days. Right. So, But yeah, so when we look around at our lives and how and again, I am going to really punctuate, because there are some that I know that I've been talking to going through separation and divorce who then go to that other extreme of, no, I can't allow that anymore. Like, I was being supported by this person, but now I'm not going to allow that. And then there's this like almost a righteousness about not allowing not feeling right about allowing that support to come in. And I'm like, no, you deserve that too.
Right. Especially when there are kids involved.
Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, you deserve that too. And it's okay for it to come from all different ways.
Right.
So the key is when we shift our definition of that support to, is it going to be, what is that support? The support is so that I have, really, what is the purpose of saying I'm supported by the multiverse? Well, is that I have everything that I ever need in any given moment, right?
Right.
If we take away the question of support,
or the delivery of it.
And we talk about support as if it's outside of us or something that we need to have too, right?
Right.
Versus knowing in wholeness, it's all there. That's another little shift and tweak, right?
Right. Well, and, if you boil it down to the, something that works for me is like, you're going to cook something, you look at what you have, and that limits you. Well, if you have everything, you can cook whatever you want.
Right.
So if you have every resource, there's nothing that limits you.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just.
And I have learned personally through this journey, this active journey, I guess for the past 10 years, even though it's been, much longer than that, but the last 10 years specifically, it's been a push over and over again of trusting that that's there, trusting that I'm going to jump off the cliff and that there's going to be something there to catch me,
or the wings,
or the wings are there, or whatever.
Jump and the wings will come.
And this sounds very esoteric, but it's actually very practical, because think about all the things we do. Like even when we have our own business, well, then we want that business to support us, right? And we want the people involved with the business to support us, and we want the customers and the clients to support us.
Right. And then you personally, then you get the tendency of allowing that to limit you.
Right. Because then you put it out there saying, oh, I have to do this because of that. Right.
And then it has to be a tit for tat.
Right. And then you start putting it out
there.
And
you have to
work.
Right. Work. Right. Because it's a job, just over broke, So it's, whereas if you have everything, you have everything, and everything's there for you to just call upon. Mm-hmm. And that's the doing wholeness.
Right. That's doing wholeness from being wholeness, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then the whole, because I've been pushed to trust, right? And we talk about trust, and how does that really relate? We talk about trust in another esoteric sense, but this is really practical of, we are pushed, sometimes like we are, I don't want to say pushed, but guided very strongly to do something.
Right.
And then the mind starts to kick in and say, but this, but,
and what about,
right.
And then this.
Yeah, right.
That even in that tone of voice.
I always talk about that, like, but is basically the biggest key to tell you that the ego has kicked in, right?
Yep.
So it's like, okay, as soon as you hear but, it's
ego
like,
is the butt.
Yeah, or that person that used to say, does my ego make my butt look big?
Yeah, right.
But, and,
right,
change it to and.
So
we are to look at that from wholeness and say, okay, so how do I do that? And it's a really challenging thing, because we're so used to being like limited through constructs, right? Or, if you have a business, you have to do this and you have to do this. And this is the kind of way to get to this kind of revenue, or this.
Well, and like you think of the coaches, it's like you pick a business coach. You're picking your limits, because you're limited by what their instructions are. Right. And so and I equate that to being like a jellyfish in the ocean. You go with whatever current comes by.
Right.
And
look at the Trinity practice. The Trinity practice itself, right, is built on letting go of the constructs.
Right.
It's letting go of saying you have to do this way. But that's the biggest challenge that everybody
That's the hard
has.
part.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
we were
part.
having that discussion over dinner with a bunch of other people yesterday, and
Right.
it was like, well, why do you have to believe what this person says? What does your guidance say?
Right. And why, okay, they say this chakra is this color. Does that mean it really is if you see it a different color?
Yeah.
Or if you don't see a color at all, you feel a vibration.
Right. Right.
Yeah. It's like, how do they know better than you?
Well, and by the way,
or why do you believe they know better?
Right. Well, we believe that others know better than us. Right.
Right.
So that's the whole thing, and it's sometimes the most frustrating for many, right, to be pushed to let go of the constructs, because it's easy for us to say, what does Sarah say? What does Angela say?
Right.
What is so?
Or what does this psychic say?
Right, right. Or what does this person who wrote this book say?
Or these cards.
Right.
What are the cards telling me?
Right.
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 And I took this class and it said this.
Right. And so, yes, it's all us. All of it is us. But remember that as we are individually filtered, right, because we are individually embodied, we take on an individual journey. And when we are in the body, we perceive through the filters of the journey that we've had individually, typically, right? So I could say, okay, looking at that over there, like your lotus flowers, right? If we looked at the top, I might say that's purple, and you might say that's violet. And
Right.
who's right?
Right.
Who's wrong? Neither of us.
Right.
Or, like, oh, even more the teal one, because everybody says, oh, it's turquoise, it's teal, it's this, it's that. And it's like, okay, but nobody's wrong.
Nobody's wrong.
It's how they see things. And so, but if I said, oh, well, Sarah said that that's violet and not purple. So
I have to believe it's violet.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, what?
No, it's red. I'm going to really mess you up.
Yeah. I see green. So, this is all related, because we do. So when we look at things from wholeness, we start seeing things from beyond the filters of individual separation, right? So what I had said was, well, what does your guidance say? When we were talking about that, what does your guidance say? Instead of having to ask this person who did this class about this. But in the Trinity practice, that's what really gets people frustrated, and is that I won't give you the answer,
right?
Or instructors don't give you the answer. It's, what does your guidance say?
Right. But that's also the gift of the whole practice, and that's the gift you give someone you work with, is empowering them.
Right.
And it's the ultimate tool.
Right. And that is actually the ultimate support.
Right.
Right? Because it's pushing us to really see the wholeness
in everything.
In everything.
Everything, everyone. Yeah.
So.
Oh, that feels good.
Yeah. Boy, we just helped the whole world's issues.
Man. Done.
Check for the day. Charlie agrees.
Yes.
So, I think we're ready to just go out there.
I can't think
we really sort of got to the point today.
Yeah. Well, you can tell we've been
together
for 4 days working on this one.
That's right. We got this. We got the energy holding that already. All right. So whatever is there to be done so that we can exist, be, and do from that wholeness, right? To allow our, let's just say that support. That's what
Back to support.
Went off on that tangent. When we allow ourselves the support from wholeness, it can come to us in any way.
Right.
Right. Whether it's the answer we're looking for, right? And while we're still trained, and that was what I was trying to connect when I brought that up. While we're still trained and habitualized to think, is this right? It's to step back and ask your guidance, is this the answer for me?
Right.
Yes.
Right. For this piece of the wholeness.
Right.
Right.
Because when we start doing that, then we don't need 5 million coaches. We don't need 5 million books or classes or whatever. We just need that trust in our own guidance. And then we know it's all going to come to us in all kinds of ways. And the support comes in every possible way. Right. And it's really because we question all the time.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the mind, right?
Right.
The ego.
Right. Well, and that's that lack of trust.
Yeah. So it's setting ourselves to be allowed to be supported in all ways from the wholeness.
Supported from wholeness.
Yeah. Supported from wholeness in a complete way.
The whole way.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Wholeness in the whole way.
I know.
I was trying to change up the words.
Right. No.
And to be able to observe that within ourselves, because it is a habit for us to change, right? It's those definitions. Right. And it's the same thing for anything else, by the way, is looking at the definitions we have of things. Because when we say, well, I want to bring this to me, or I want to create this, and then you get something less than what you desire, well, then you got to look at what your definitions,
what you asked for.
Yeah, the definitions of what you asked for. And
right.
How.
Right.
Yeah. Because usually that's your limiting factor.
Right.
So let's free ourselves from all limiting factors, right? Allowing the wholeness of support. And then, by the way, the more you do that, the more you let go of your confines and constructs and definitions of how things need to support you or how the world needs to support you, then you can just trust that it's there no matter what. That you might literally walk into a store and somebody hands you $100.
Right.
Or $1,000. Like, you just don't know.
Why
like,
not?
You might laugh, but
yeah,
I've had some crazy stuff
right.
I mean,
why not?
It's like, oh, okay, well, I would love to do this, and I put it out there, and I don't put any constructs out there saying I would love to do that. I would just say I would love to do this. I feel guided to do this, right? And the but that the ego hasn't said, but I don't know how I'm going to find the money, right? We always say, oh, but financial constraints right now, or but like that's what we always say, right? To limit ourselves. So I've changed my thoughts on that to say, oh, well, I would love to do this. I'm feeling guided to do this. So I'm going to just trust that it's going to be there.
Right.
It's going to come together for me in whatever way.
Right.
And
I won't limit the way. I won't define the way it comes to me.
And we are terrified of that trust sometimes. Because then we're afraid of what? We're afraid of being let down.
Right. Which to me always comes back to that lack of self-love.
Yeah.
Worthiness.
Am I worth it?
Yeah. Right. Or I'll find out just how little I'm worth because I already believe that.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Maybe that's another day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's another one that's hidden underneath.
Right. It really is. It really is. Because I do feel that is a basis for a lot of what we allow support. It's like I allow the support of my unworthiness.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bleh.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. That one's like, that one's like,
yeah. That one doesn't feel so good.
But that's part of one of the things we unweave.
And something else, right? Something else that's really integrated with that is that worthiness thing.
Right.
And that self-love thing. And it does always come back to that.
Right. Which I do believe that lack of self-love is the basis of all fear.
Pretty much.
Right.
And worthiness, right? Well, which is the worthiness thing. I'm only worthy to have support this way.
Right. Right.
I'm only worthy to have support like this.
Up to this level.
I'm only allowed to have this much support.
Or I'm only worthy to have support in my suffering.
Oh,
yeah. That's
okay. Well, that's another element of that too.
Yeah, that's another fine line to get rid of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and all the agreements and entanglements associated with that just fall away.
Yep. So what if we did just allow ourselves to be supported, knowing from that place of knowing that I'm worthy, right? And you're worthy, knowing that we're infinite and infinitely capable, right? And when we stop, what I have found is when I've stopped trying to put a picture around how something's going to turn out, it always turns out even better than I could ever imagine. Or in some way.
Absolutely.
In some way that I would never have anticipated.
Right. Well, it's like I want $10,000 and the universe comes back and says, well, I was going to give you 100,000, but if you really only want 10,000, I'll give you 10,000.
That's right.
I don't want to be making that kind of statement.
Right.
And I feel like we do. That's all we do.
All the time. Right. Because we say, oh, well, I'm gonna like, and we do is we'll start by setting goals. Well, and the goals are good. Well, it's sort of like the thing with my house, right? Where I was thinking, oh, with the DOT buying our house, and it was like, okay, well, this is the goal. And my husband, who was great at this, was like, no,
Let's
like,
do this.
let's do more.
Yeah.
Set it at a higher level. And wouldn't you know, we actually got the higher level, and it was just like, huh. And had I kept myself limited, it would have probably been more limited. Yeah, like more limiting. So we think we're being expansive by expanding where we've been, but still when we set those limits, we're still setting limits, right? So like I tried to set my creations and my goals or whatever to be open-ended now, right?
Right. Or more than I can imagine, or beyond my beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that, beyond my beliefs.
Right. Yeah, because that to me is the ultimate freedom.
Yes. This is really powerful.
Yeah. Charlie's like, yeah, this one's big. I need to be right in the middle.
Here joining us, right in the middle of us today. So, okay, well,
I think we should do that.
Let's go do that.
Right.
Set ourselves up for that. Allowing ourselves to like release our definitions of support to allow that wholeness. And basically support in wholeness of everything in creation is done so in an infinite manner. Yeah, he's like, oh yeah,
this one's good.
These ones are good ones. All right, and anything related to that.
Right.
All right.
Align.
You ready?
Yeah.
Sit back. Boy, that is multi-layered.
Yeah,
to say the least.
that's
Like,
right.
okay, I could be out here all day, and I don't think we'd cover it all. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
what a great day to go to the spa and let
Yeah.
it
Let that wash through.
Yeah. Wow, that was fabulous. Lots of noise though, because there's like
Lots of butts.
Oh, lots of butts. Oh yeah, from the collective, the individual. It was like
The
so.
ego.
This is a great one for us to all work on individually and at the collective level.
Right.
This week, I think.
Good intention to start your day with and end your day with.
Yeah, no kidding.
Get some good reinforcement in those big chunks of time.
Incredible. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah Sieg Evagnoni,
bringing you this week's Ascended World weekly collective energy share. I don't know. I'm still out of it. Have a good one. Thanks.